Hey guys, Tyler here from GarageWarrior.com. I'm here today with Jim Bathurst from Bskills.com, and we're going to talk about how you can become a beast. If you guys are interested in bodyweight training or bodyweight relative strength, this is going to be an awesome podcast for you. So without further ado, let's take it on over to my interview with Jim Bathurst.
All right, you guys, Tyler here from GarageWarrior.com, your number one resource for hard-hitting home workouts and living the warrior lifestyle. I'm here today with Jim Bathurst from Bskills.com, and we're going to talk about how to become a beast. Jim, how's it going tonight?
Doing pretty well. How about you, Tyler?
Awesome. I'm doing just fine, man. Hey, so before we get started with all the details on how you've become so good at bodyweight exercises and barbell exercises at the same time, why don't you give us a little background story on kind of how you came to where you are?
Yeah, sure. I'd say I started just kind of training and weightlifting in general in high school for track, so that was probably my first sort of welcome into the weightlifting world. In terms of gymnastics, I started around halfway through high school. I actually just started real informally. A friend of mine and I, he had an uncle who would tell us stories about his days back in like a gymnastics troupe where he'd be doing, handstands on chairs and pull-ups from, door jams and things like that. We thought that sounded pretty cool, so one summer during high school we decided just to start learning the handstand, learning handstand push-ups, different things like that. Kind of built from there until when I was in college. Actually, the same friend, he introduced me to a gymnastics group at the University of Maryland where I went called Gymkhana. That was where we performed like traditional and non-traditional gymnastics for our local area schools. So we would bring in parallel bars, rings, high bar, and perform those for the kids. But we would also perform stuff like handstands on chairs and flipping over stacks of people on a vault box and crazy stuff like that. So sort of my gymnastics training kind of progressed from there. And then after college, I just continued pushing the weightlifting forward and the gymnastics forward until today. So
until today, wow, that's quite a cool story. It sounds the handstands sound a lot like a story that I had at the same time. Me and my good friend, same deal. Saw some people do some handstands, and we're like, we're gonna make this happen.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about kind of what prompted you to Bskills.com and share your training with the world.
Sure thing. What prompted it? When I was kind of learning by myself back in high school and then even through start of college, a lot of different things that I was reading about. There'd be an article here and there about training for a one-arm chin-up or training for handstand push-ups, but there wasn't that many resources really online at the time. And I thought to myself, hey, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm figuring some stuff out as I go along. How about I just start up a blog and write down about my experiences, write down about my goals, and write down about my progress. So of course, like I said, Bskills was first a blog, and I thought when I first started the blog that it might outgrow it, and of course it did. So then I registered the website, got that set up as well, and I thought to myself, hey, hopefully, my tutorials can save some people some time and some of the trial and error that I went through because, again, there just wasn't as much stuff back then, back 6-7 years ago, as there is right now. So, like I said, hopefully, I've gotten tons of emails over the years saying, thanks so much, this has helped so much. I'm always trying to put up better information and even the tutorials, for instance, I want to continually update them. But like I said, I think just the information that I've put out there now has helped a lot of people. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, I'm sure that it's hard to find good information on this stuff as well because the devil's in the details on a lot of these more complicated things, right?
No, you're absolutely right on that. And like I said, my tutorials, they give a lot of information. And even then, I always look at them and say, oh, wait, I've learned something else. I want to change this. I want to change that. So, I'm always constantly growing, and I want the site to be constantly growing and evolving with me as well. So.
Well, yeah, and you've done a great job over the years. I've benefited greatly from some of the tutorials you have over there as well.
No, I appreciate that.
So where did you start out? You talked about starting with the gymnastic exercises. What was like the first thing that you started learning?
Well, like I said, back in high school, My buddy's uncle, he gave us a set of wooden parallettes, really, really nice pair of wooden parallettes that he used to use. So one of the first things, other than the handstand, and our handstand where we were just trying to kick up in the yard and try to hold it, but other than that, it was L-sit to press the handstand. So again, like I said, it's pretty complicated movement, but it's a good solid movement in terms of just building the strength in your shoulders and the balance in your handstand. So yeah, that was definitely the first one. After that, I thought that just a freestanding handstand push-up would be a pretty good goal as well. So that was another one. So by the time I was leaving high school, entering college, I was already able to do an L-sit to press the handstand and do a freestanding handstand push-up.
Wow.
After that, it was a lot of the pulling exercises like the one-arm chin-up and things like that. So.
Sure. Wow, those are quite feats of strength already. Now, are you talking about a straight arm press to handstand?
The one I first did was bent arm press. I really didn't, like I said, even understand the difference between the straight arm press and the bent arm press. The straight arm press, now what I advocate, and again, this is just a sort of an evolution of just my training. In terms of gymnastics, you've got bent arm pressing and you've got straight arm pressing, just like you've got bent arm pulling and straight arm pulling. Now, the bent arm pressing and pulling is the stuff that we're all accustomed to. So, push-ups, dips, handstand push-ups, and then, of course, that bent arm pulling is, the chin-ups, the rows, things like that. It's the straight arm pressing and pulling that we usually don't have in a lot of our training and our workouts, and that's what really kind of differentiates gymnastics and the stress that gymnastics provides more than anything else. So, the planche work or pressing up from an L-sit to a handstand with elbows totally locked, or like I said, doing front lever work and things like that. We even get a little bit of that straight arm pulling when we do like a toes to bar exercise where you really engage the shoulders and keep the elbows totally locked out. It's something, like I said, that a lot of people, again, just don't have in their training, and it really shows because I've been to dozens and dozens of CrossFit gyms, and you have a lot of very strong, very capable athletes that are incredibly humbled as soon as you tell them to lock their elbow out, and just because the stress on the shoulder is just so much greater, the strength requirement to just stabilize the shoulder is so much greater. But of course, that's the benefit of the whole exercise and progression, is that we're strengthening up their shoulders even more. So.
Right. Yeah, I've been working on my straight arm presses this year more than ever, and it is. You're right. It's so humbling because I can bent arm pike press and straddle press all day long, but as soon as you let those elbows out, my body just can't do it anymore.
No, it is definitely tough. So and the difference is quite astounding actually. Just again, the first, like I was mentioning, the first sort of challenge or exercise that my friend and I were kind of working forward was a bent arm. It was L-sit to bent arm press, which, like I said, that was the first thing I started off with, and it's just leaps and bounds beyond. Like the straight arm press is just leaps and bounds beyond that bent arm press. So
yeah, the degree of flexibility.
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit, Tyler. What's up?
I said the degree of flexibility you have to have is pretty awesome.
Yeah, actually, either it's sort of a balancing act, or it's sort of either a lot of flexibility or a lot of strength. My sort of compression ability, my flexibility is so. So a lot of times I'm like just planching the heck out of my presses and just kind of bowling through them, So you get one or the other, It's sort of like you do an Olympic lifting. You can either have really good technique or, just ample amounts of strength, and somewhere you kind of make it work in the middle. So.
Sure, completely. I worked with a hand balancing coach down in San Diego, and he asked me to do a toe session. For a big guy, I'm actually really flexible, so I had my stomach pancaked on my thighs and my forehead on my chin, and he looked at me and said, damn, we got to work on that flexibility. So it's super humbling.
That's funny.
So since we're talking about coaching a little bit too as well, let's talk about some of the coaches that you've learned from and how that's benefited you, and kind of just in general how coaching can help people.
Oh, you're saying that, I'm sorry, again, just breaking up a little bit on the phone call. I don't know if it's my line of ears. You're saying some of the coaches I've worked with throughout the years?
Yeah, why don't you tell us some of the coaches you've worked with and then how that's benefited you and how other people should really consider working with coaching?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I mean, I guess, like I said, starting chronologically, the first coach that, we even sort of had was, again, my friend's uncle. And, again, we were totally green to anything with gymnastics. And he would, even if it wasn't, maybe the best progressions or whatever, he would still, see us trying to walk around on our hands out in the yard and doing this, that, and the other thing. And the coach, at that point, he was, again, giving us different cues and sort of advice, but also just giving us ideas as well, kind of like, hey, you can try, again, a handstand on a chair. You can try pressing up into this. You can try doing that and the other thing. So in the very beginning, the coach is just giving you kind of a focus on what to do and sort of like, here's the avenue that you can take, and, again, the different various cues. Of course, like throughout the years, I was obviously getting a lot more qualified coaches and coaches with better progressions. Stepping up into my college gymnastics group, of course, my coaches there, they were a lot more experienced in gymnastics and the progressions with that. So, they were sticking us to a really good work schedule, really good training schedule, and again, like I said, just giving you all the cues that you need, making sure that you're doing everything safely as well. Of course, as you progress in some of the higher level gymnastic skills, especially on the different apparatus, you just need to make sure you're safe and you're not gonna hurt anything. Once past that, I was kind of free floating by myself for a while until the past couple of years. I've met a couple people. I did some online coaching with Ido Portal, who, again, I think a lot of people in the hand balancing and even the CrossFit community know. He's got some fantastic sort of concepts and progressions. He's got a phenomenal work ethic as well, and he's one of those guys that, again, you want to talk about focusing someone. You really get focused when you got a teacher who just doesn't take any sort of crap from anyone. I'm sure a lot of times in my coaching career, coaching athletes myself, I might be a little forgiving or a little soft, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good, and Ido is just not, he doesn't suffer any fools on that one. And with his coaching as well, and with his coaching, again, he provides the different progressions that can just get the most bang for the buck. There's a lot of different things you can do, but it's a matter of doing the ones that are the most productive and doing the ones that are going to get you to where you want to be the fastest with the best results. For my own progressions and my own coaching, they've evolved over the years. Things that exercises and progressions that I used, standard 5 years ago, I'm not even using today, just because I've found better ways to do the same thing. So by getting coaches and by getting coached yourself, you start to learn more and more. You start to just progress with your training, and you start to learn better ways to get from point A to point B. So then when you then pass on the knowledge to an athlete below you, you can do it in a better manner. I know, like I said, I was able to coach people, 5 or so years ago, but I think that I'm able to coach people even better by being coached myself.